Welcome to 21st Sports reaction to the news that Rob Ryan has been fired as the defensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints. This coming just less than 48 hours after Sean Payton had said that Rob Ryan was going to be their defensive coordinator the remainder of the season. That's what Payton said, but I guess the GM had other ideas. As Rob Ryan has been fired, they have now promoted Dennis Allen to defensive coordinator to take that position. And the Saints defense is the worst in the entire league. They rank last in yards allowed per game and last in points allowed per game, as the New Orleans Saints in 2015 through week 10 have allowed 31.5 points per game. That's 1.5 points more than the Lions, who were 31st at 29 points per game allowed. They also allow 424.7 yards from scrimmage per game, and the Lions in 31st allow 384. So that's 40 more yards per game that they allow than the next worst team. So they allow the most yards and the most points in football, and that is why Rob Ryan is gone. They had the 30th most allowed passing yards and the 29th most allowed rushing yards, which made them the worst defense. And in this season, in just the last 3 games, the Saints have allowed 130 points. They let up 49 to the Giants back in Week 8, 34 to the Titans in Week 9, and Week 10 that just happened this past Sunday, 47 points to the Redskins. And if you go back over the whole season, they let up 31 in a loss to the Cardinals in Week 1, 26 to the Buccaneers in a loss in Week 2, 27 to the Panthers in a loss in Week 3, 20 in a win in Week 4 to the Cowboys without Romo, without Dez Bryant. And then in Week 5, they lost to the Eagles, allowing 39 points. Of course, in Week 6 and 7, they showed some signs of coming together somewhat, as they allowed just 21 points in wins to the Falcons and the Colts. But then, like I said, the last 3 games, weeks 8, 9, and 10, 130 points. So I just said 49, 34, and 47 points respectively in those 3 games against the Giants, Titans, and Redskins. And Rob Ryan is not the coordinator anymore. People had already been calling for this previously, wondering why he had not already been fired and how he was keeping his job there in New Orleans with the poor performance by the Saints defense. As even someone commented on a video back a couple weeks ago when they lost to the Titans, Isaiah Carr commented, but we see now that they finally let him go. Obviously, Payton, didn't want to let him go, but the Saints, GM and their ownership, they've decided to make the change, and Rob Ryan is not the Saints GM. I'm sure he's going to land a job somewhere. He always seems to. But actually, I think it's the right move for them to let go of him. I mean, it's kind of an easy call, really, at this point. As we see, teams are not waiting until the offseason to pull the trigger on some of these moves, as a lot of coaches have already vacated head coaching positions and coordinator positions throughout the league. And Rob Ryan is the most recent one to come to termination at a position high up in the coaching staff of a football team. And the thing is, to the Saints, they look like they might be contending after those, that 3-game winning streak, 6, 7, and 8. But then the last 2 weeks losing those games, their season has headed south really quick. But let me know what you think. Do you think it was the right move for the Saints to fire Rob Ryan? Should they have made that move earlier, or should they have waited out through the season? Of course, they're going into their bye week in Week 11, and then they're going to be facing the Texans in Houston in Week 10 and Week 12, and it doesn't get any easier in Week 13 as they host the Panthers. Then they go to face the Buccaneers in Tampa, host the Lions and the Jaguars, and finish up against the Falcons in Atlanta. So they've got some tough games. They've also got some games against some losing teams, but they got some tough ones coming up, especially in Houston and hosting the Panthers, where if they're going to make any kind of run, they're going to have to turn their defense into something that actually, is formidable and can keep teams out of the end zone, as they were not able to do that in the last 3 weeks, and they weren't really able to do that all season. Like I said, the worst defense in the NFL through week 10. Like I said, let me know what you think, though, in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and having a good week, and enjoy all the sports.